Good evening, class. This is class 24, 25. Huh? 25 है? We started with marketing and discussed how state governments have passed agriculture produce marketing legislation where there are dedicated principal yards. These are called as mandis, and you have license for traders and commission agents. So the old trade that is going to happen for agriculture commodities is going to be there in the regulated marketplaces. The farmers are free to sell the produce anywhere in the country. It is the restriction only on the traders. No trader can participate without the license of a particular mandi. Now this is a regulated structure we have created, and we created this structure because we had 2-3 problems. One was price discovery. What is the other problem? Why did we create a regulated structure? One is price discovery was the problem, that how exactly do you decide the price of the produce if farmer and trader is going to participate one-on-one, because the situation is of that of monopsony. What else is the problem? Why did we need APMC laws? The other thing was that there's no body to provide counterparty risk assurance, problem with respect to dispute, and no mechanism to get the market information. These are the 4 major reasons why we had to provide a regulated marketplace where you have the oversight of the committee, which is going to keep the auction and also act as the dispute resolution body. Is this clear, the structure? The issues in agriculture trade are going to help you analyze why exactly the farm bills were good or bad. Why will private players buy the agriculture good at MSP? We discussed in solutions. So they will buy the MSP. It's better for them to buy at the MSP and not at the market price. They're going to get a dedicated sale. This is why they're going to buy at MSP. Is this clear why we need regulation? Now, what was the problem with this system? That the government tried to remove all of this. The government, so the farm bill tried to remove all of this. We discussed how the government said that there's going to be a free trade area, and in the free trade area, anyone can participate without a license, without paying a fees. Then what exactly is the problem here? Why does the government try to do this? Commission agent. What's the most basic problem? What exactly issue in marketing in India? Free market. Do you need a free market? Or you need some sort of regulation? What do you mean by free market? This is a choice. You can not deal with the middleman and directly deal with the trade. No, directly, okay, one thing that you, then there also nobody is stopping with the middleman, but okay, the government was trying to do so. इस system में middleman के अलावा क्या problem है? What's the problem with license? This whole system is not even working for the betterment. This system is hurting both the producer, that is the farmer, and the consumer, that is who's using the final product. In fact, what the whole APMC system has created is a significant price gap between the producer and the consumer, where the consumer is paying a very high amount and the producer is not getting a significant value. And this price gap has happened without any value addition. See, price gap can also happen in various other cases when you have value addition. For example, the producer is selling tomatoes and the consumer is getting a ketchup. So there the price gap will be significant, but price gap हो किस लिए रहा है? Because वहाँ पे वैल्यू एडिशन है यहाँ, विदाउट एनी वैल्यू एडिशन सिग्निफिकेंट प्राइस गैप है, दे आर गेटिंग एट हायर प्राइसेस एंड द प्रोड्यूसर इज नॉट गेटिंग एनी प्राइस. Why is this happening in this system? Extra fees. So basic issues with this system, one is that there is significant amount of fees that is being paid by the farmers. This roughly amounts to 15 to 16% of the agricultural trade, which is solely given by the farmers, not by the traders. Also, exploitation by the commission agent, which is not helping because you have a nexus of commission agent and traders. The farmers mostly sell the produce to the commission agent who's not paying a very good price. This nexus is what is leading to poor price realization with the producer. What else? What's the most basic problem? And why was this farm bill movement significant in the northern India, specifically Punjab, Haryana? Why not in other parts of the country? MSP? How? Why? क्यों नहीं मिलता? मिलता नहीं है, मिलता था यहाँ पे पंजाब हरियाणा में ऑल्सो इट इज गुड बट नॉट सिग्निफिकेंटली हाई अमाउंट. तो यहाँ क्यों नहीं मिल रहा कहीं और पे? What is the reason? Big farmers. So what exactly was happening here? Big farmers would be everywhere. ऐसा तो नहीं है बाकी इंडिया में big farmers है नहीं. Not really. Mandi available. The biggest problem in this whole system is who has to create this principal yard? It's the state. The biggest problem is that these mandis have not been created. Rest of the part of the country, you don't have the infrastructure. 2013 or 2015-16, when the government said doubling of farmers' income, there was a commission which calculated how much mandis were there. In Punjab, roughly one mandi was covering 117 square kilometer. The same in Meghalaya was 11,000 square kilometer or 22,000 square kilometers का पूरा area है. So that means only 2 mandis existed in the whole state. The biggest problem of this system has been, though the state collected certain revenue from the trade here, but has not created enough marketplaces. Now problem what happens if the government has not created any marketplaces, एक और level of intermediation आ जाता है. If your mandis are far away, the farmer is going to sell the produce nearby his village side to a small trader. Now this small trader in his regular periodical markets or wherever the farmer is giving, because farmer cannot travel long distances for the mandi. This small trader is then finding a point to reach the mandi. He is one who is getting the maximum benefits of this system. Even if he is getting something, the farmer is paying small amount. So एक level of intermediation तो मंडी में ही था, where you have the commission agent. Beyond this, a small trader also will become the intermediation because the mandi infrastructure is not available. Lack of access to mandis, large distances between the farmer and the mandis create a problem where the farmers have to send it to a small trader, becoming a level of intermediation, not getting any amount. He's the one who's getting major value. This is one level of intermediation, और ये हुआ इसलिए क्योंकि मंडी बनी नहीं है. This is the reason why a lot of farmers still practice subsistence farming. Subsistence farming because there's no infrastructure where they can sell their produce. So the level of protection which the regulated market had to provide is no longer present. Sorry. And wherever mandi has been created, all of the fees has not been used for creating of infrastructure. The infrastructure at these mandi is very poor. Be it drying yards, be it cold storage facilities. And the moment you have infrastructure being very poor, you will have destruction of the crop. Because you need certain basic facilities such as drying yards, cold storage. In fact, the maximum mandis are present in Punjab and Haryana. And even there, Punjab, most of the mandis have no electronic weighing bridges. These are non-existing. Storage facilities are absent, drying yards are absent. This is why you have a significant amount of wastage of the crops. The moment you have wastage of the crops, who will bear the price of this? So the regulated market structure which the government had to create has not been created, and even if it is created, the infrastructure is not very good. What else? No mandi, commission agent. Who else is the problem in this marketplace? Government tried to reform this by passing model APMC laws first in 2003, then 2017-18 again. Because this is a point where you are losing a lot of benefits for the farmer. This is the reason why farmers don't want to go to the market, they want to sell to the government at MSP. Legal demand MSP की सिर्फ बनती इसलिए है because the infrastructure for selling rest of the product is not available. What else could be the problem? One of the reasons for setting up the mandi was that you are going to get a transparent price. Transparent price through an auction. Now this is not happening. How can you control the price in the mandi? Moisture तो वो तो trade है. The whole system of auction, this is not working well. How can you create a problem in this auction system? Huh? Quality issue, okay, one. Cartel कैसे बनेगा इसमें? Cartel is easily formed when there are less number of players. You cannot form cartel when there are 50 number of traders. Can you form a cartel in 50 number? Cartel would be better when you have 2-3 players. License. So how exactly will you control that? 50 बंदे कैसे बनाएंगे? 2 बंदों को फिर भी there will be an understanding you can distribute the market. How can 50 people form a cartel? You understand, the more number of competition is difficult to form a cartel. Cartel would be better when there are less number of people. How would you do that here? This is where the APMC committee gets politicized. The APMC is now affected by the trader lobby. And now what the trader lobby does is, trader lobby will not bring in the competition for the auction. Trader lobby is going to capture the competition. And how exactly would they capture the competition? They are not going to issue new number of license. The number of licenses issued would be constrained so that there is no new competition in the market and these traders can then depress the prices together. This is the major problem in the mandi, not just the relationship between commission agent. The problem is that trader ki lobby does not give new license and therefore they can depress the prices by forming a cartel. This is the biggest problem in APMC. The farmers don't get a good enough price from the mandi. Another problem which this mandi faces is the problem for the consumer. Now, why the problem for the consumer? Why the price gap is significantly high? Producer is not getting anything. The consumer is paying a high amount. Why is this happening? The consumer will get the product when it passes through various mandis. Now, within the same state, consider this is one state, Punjab. Within the same state, every mandi has its own system of traders and own system of license. This mandi would have different number of traders as compared to this. And if one trader wants to participate in both the places, he has to take a license both the places. Moving within the same state itself, you are going to create a price differential. Even if we say that the farmer has got the price here, he's not taking a middleman here and then getting it. This mandi to this mandi, you will have significant price increase because we are moving between different regulatory systems. Now, this is within the state. If you want to move to another state, for example, Maharashtra, iska APMC law different hai. So when this product moves from this mandi to a mandi in this place, this is what is leading to the fragmentation of agriculture market in India. Agriculture marketing, you don't have a single market where the price of the product is same everywhere. The price will increase several times if it crosses multiple mandis. And the problem with this is, this fragmented regulatory structure, the price is increasing by movement from one mandi to another and there is no value addition. Therefore, the final consumer, what is going to get the price, this is going to be significantly higher than what the farmer is getting. This is what creates the price gap and causes food inflation in India. This is lack of market integration. India does not have a single market for agriculture produce. The regulatory space is fragmented due to which the price gap increases when the product moves from one market to another. This leads to a problem where the farmer is not getting a good price and at the same time the consumer has to pay a very high price. This is what the Farm Bill was trying to remove. The Farm Bill said that every state, irrespective of the APMC, This is its APMC mandi. Every state is going to have a multiple free trade areas, और इन free trade areas को regulate करेगा center. So now you have one integrated marketplace throughout the country, which is the free trade area. Right now there is no regulation, that is right now there is no requirement of any license or any fees here. So this is what will create a one nation, one market for agriculture produce. So this farm bill, what was trying to do was liberalizing the trade. That is, anyone can participate without any regulation. And secondly, it was also leading to an integrated marketplace. And to benefit what the farm bill was trying to say, when you have liberalization of trade and you have an integrated marketplace, commission agent के जब commission कम हो जाएगा, farmer is going to get a good enough produce. Farmer is going to get good enough value. And this liberalization is going to increase the number of players who are participating in agriculture trade, be it the agri value chains, जो ये Blinkit and all these growers who are working. Right now, they have to take the products from the mandi itself. And for that, they will have to buy a license. If they directly source it from the farmers, there will be benefit both for the farmer and the consumer. So the farm bill, through the creation of free trade area, was leading to more number of players and integrated mandis where you won't have different regulatory structure. एक ही regulatory structure है, and this was both of this is going to give price benefit to the farmer. But as we discussed, this does not have a regulatory cover up for the farmers. You don't know whether the price increase would right now be more or tomorrow what would happen. And if there is any dispute, you don't have a dispute resolution body. This was why there was a conflict on the farm bill. The government wanted to end all regulations, remove all regulations, liberalize the trade. This is why the farm bill was said to be as the 91 movement for Indian agriculture. Liberalizing the trade just like we liberalized industry in 91. Agriculture never had the liberalization because regulated space, हर state के अपने rules हैं, अपनी ही मंडीज में different rules हैं. This was the major problem which the farm bill was trying to solve. Is it clear? In add-on issues with APMC. And was this a good move? Is this a good move? The farm bill should have been carried out or not? Yes. What exactly would be the benefit? Why the benefits would be more than the cost? How? What is the assurance? Then what's the difference between APMC and this? This is like removing all regulations. So commission agents, it's a choice of the farmer whether to go through the commission agent or not. You are very free to buy any product directly from the producer. Nobody is stopping you. The whole point of wholesale and retail, you can eliminate. Yeah, main objective, but I'm asking you, what's your opinion? I know what the government opinion is. गवर्नमेंट ओपिनियन वहां पे उसका एक पॉइंट था कि क्या एक ही ट्रेडर को चार जगह, जैसे आईटीसी है, आईटीसी वन ऑफ द लार्जेस्ट ट्रेडर्स बिकॉज आईटीसी बिस्किट्स बनाता है अपार्ट फ्रॉम ऑल द अदर प्रोडक्ट्स जिसके लिए वो फेमस है वो. सो आईटीसी इज डूइंग दैट, इज टेकिंग अ सिग्निफिकेंट प्राइस हाइक. तो प्रॉब्लम है वहां पे आईटीसी के लिए. बट हाउ इज इट बेनिफिटिंग द फार्मर्स? And do we have any global experience where without any regulation the farmers are benefited, not the private player? Who would have been benefited here more, the private player who's participating in the trade or the farmer? Are we changing anything for the farmer? What are we changing for the farmer? Farmer is free to sell his produce anywhere. He's free. Liberalizing किसके लिए है? It's for the private trader. We are expecting the private trader is going to get benefits because he don't has to pay a license, he doesn't have to pay any fees. What about the farmer there? And then if his price gain is more, he's going to get more prices. Has this happened anywhere in the world? Global trade in agriculture goods is dominated by these four companies. These four companies are what dominate the global trade: ADM, Bunch, Cargill, and Defroys. These are the four largest company in agricultural trade. And what has been witnessed in the world is, in the initial days, all of these big companies try to lure the farmers and give them good prices. But beyond a point, what they are going to do, if the farmers are going to be dependent on these companies, what is going to be the problem that beyond a point Pepsi profit कैसे बनाएगा? For example, if Pepsi is buying the potatoes from the farmer, how it is going to make profits? Lays 20 का 25 करेगा, chips कम करेगा. What else it can do? Any producer will try to cut the value of its raw material. We discussed the same problem in industry. If Samsung is not exporting, if Samsung is not increasing its technology, how exactly is Samsung going to earn profits? It is going to cut short its producer, its raw material providers. The whole benefit South Korea gave Samsung was that you export, then only you're going to get benefits. क्योंकि अगर आप export नहीं कर रहे तो आप सिर्फ अपने raw material producer को ही margins काटोगे. They kept on increasing the productivity, and this is why they kept on gaining in profits. If this productivity is not increased by this player, they are going to cut the prices for the farmers. Because there's no assurance that the price would be more which the farmer is going to get. There's no assurance anywhere that the private player is going to give more price. This is why the whole problem that the farmers started demanding a legal backing to MSP, because what would happen, इसी free trade area में your FCI would also come. Now, why would FCI buy the license in the APMC and then trade? It can come in the free trade area and take the product at MSP. Now the contention for the farmers was that if the FCI is going to come in the free trade area, it is going to reduce the level of procurement. Because debates have started in the government that FCI doesn't have the capacity to procure what is procuring every year. This is why the whole thing that we need a price protection. Since we are not getting any productivity benefits, the whole emphasis was price protection. This is why this was not considered good. You have if you give theoretical points, तो ये तो हो सकता है. But what's the negative point of this was also has to be discussed. Then you have a balanced point of view. You can't say yes or no. You have to say the farm bill or liberalizing the trade would have provided more benefits because there would have been more competition, number of players would have increased. In fact, your technology players, the food chain में जो e-tech players हैं, वो खुद आते हैं यहाँ पे और better benefit मिलता. But we also need to provide a price protection to the farmers. What if the price is not passed on to the farmers? So no regulation is not the solution. Some sort of regulation is. This is why we need reforms in the APMC, not removing the APMC altogether. Is it clear what the benefit was and what they were not trying to do? कुछ नहीं कर रहे APMC तो बोला तो APMC में क्या है? कुछ भी नहीं है. If I am saying you यहाँ पे आप रूम ले लो without any paying any rent, why would you go to the APMC? क्यों जाएगा कोई ट्रेडर वहां पे? ट्रेडर्स के ऊपर ही है सारा बिजनेस. Why would some trader go in the APMC now? All the traders would want to trade in the free trade area. And the biggest problem in free trade area is, who do you think is going to create the marketplace now? मंडी establish कौन करेगा? वो storage facilities कौन लाएगा? The expectation of the government is the private player is going to do so. Same expectation was with the Bihar government when Bihar government said the whole problem is creating problems के farmers को कुछ नहीं मिल रहा है, सब कुछ ही commission agents ले रहे हैं. They abolished the APMC. When they abolished the APMC, they said the private player are going to construct the mandis because they are going to get benefits. क्योंकि कहीं भी मंडी प्लेस किसी भी मार्केट में they constructed themselves because they know there is profit to be gained. But this did not happen there. No private player created a mandi in Bihar, and this is why the problem that there is no marketplace to go and trade. यहाँ पे भी सेम प्रॉब्लम होती है कि फ्री ट्रेड एरिया में मंडी बनाएगा कौन? This would be the problem. यहाँ तो कम से कम स्टेट की ड्यूटी है. So better would be to reform this, not remove them altogether. Is it clear? See, the biggest problem is two things. Productivity, what the farmer is getting. हम उस challenge को we are not accepting. We need to increase the productivity so that farmer का value addition ज़्यादा हो. उस पे हम effect है नहीं, या marketing में what we are trying to do is remove everything. ये easy solutions लग रहे हैं to the government. But two problems will always remain. In fact, three. Small farmers, you need to have cooperatives. You need to increase the productivity of agriculture, and you have to remove the people from agriculture. जब तक हटाओगे नहीं, ये solutions कोई काम नहीं करेंगे. तो इसका मतलब ये है ना, मंडी और बनाओ. Or is it to remove the mandi? Just like what Bihar did. Bihar said that this is a problem, that the solution is to depoliticize this or to remove it altogether. और remove करने से क्या हुआ? Have they got the benefits? This is what the problem is. This farm bill, if they would have got the benefits, why not first implement it on a pilot basis? Agriculture marketing is a state subject. Why is agriculture marketing is a state subject? अगर वो हमें वन नेशन वन पॉलिसी ही चाहिए थी, वी वुड हैव पुट इट इन द सेंटर or in a concurrent subject. Agriculture marketing is put in state subject because every state has its own agriculture. Consider APMCs don't exist in Kerala. केरला में फूड ग्रेन्स कम है, केरला में कमोडिटीज ज्यादा हैं, स्पाइसेस, फ्रूट्स. सो दे हैव मार्केटिंग बोर्ड्स. स्पाइसेस बोर्ड है, पाइनएप्पल का बोर्ड है, बनाना बोर्ड है. दे रेगुलेट द ट्रेड देयर. सो यू कांट हैव अ one country one system because every state has its own peculiar agriculture or the system that have developed that needs to be reformed by the state themselves. And if you think this system would have given the benefits, why not first implement it on a pilot basis? 3 स्टेट में करके दिखाते, benefits होते, every state would have asked for it. Consider right now one nation one वो जो old pension का scheme चल रहा, old versus new, 3 states have done it. If others would think that this is a giving benefit, others will do it. नहीं लगेगा finances खराब हो रहे हैं, they would not do it. So it's better to do on the pilot basis. नहीं वो अब और कोई और डिबेट थोड़ी सुना. I'm just giving an example. Is it clear the problems with the issues of, write down, issues of APMC? First, lack of access to mandi. Lack of access to mandi. Most of the states have not invested in building enough market yards for example, the average area served by a regulated mandi in Punjab is 117 square kilometer, whereas it is 11,000 square kilometer in Meghalaya. Second, lack of market infrastructure. Only 25% of the markets have drying yards, cold storage units, exist in less than 1/10 of the market. One-tenth of the markets, and grading facilities in less than 1/3 of the markets. Grading is, what is grading? The grading facilities upgrading कैसे होगी? हाँ? Quality is what is, quality specification is grading. And how does grading happen in India? Do we have any scientific tests? हाँ बस, this is exactly what happens. Grading is only size and feel. हाँ ठीक लग रहा है. How else are you buying vegetables? Do you know what is the content? हाँ ठीक, feel पे तो you are टमाटर का देखते ऐसी है ना कि हाँ ये ठीक लग रहा है. What exactly is the grading? This is what is happening, and this is why do you think sanitary phytosanitary में इंडिया को प्रॉब्लम है? Because if you are not grading it right here, you're not testing it. वहाँ दूसरी कंट्री जब टेस्ट करेगी, then you'll come to know कि इतना pesticide content और इतना fertilizer है, which should not be there. Mangoes or lychees face the maximum problem in Europe because the moment they're tested in Europe, you have the problem कि इसमें pesticide content ज़्यादा है, fertilizer content ज़्यादा है. Recently, Turkey I think banned tea consignment from India because of the excess amount of pesticide in that tea consignment. In India, grading facilities are very less. The whole concept itself is missing. ये फील के ऊपर ही हो रहा है. इनफैक्ट इफ यू गो टू द वन ऑफ द लार्जेस्ट मंडीज इन इंडिया इज दिस आजादपुर मंडी. आजादपुर मंडी होलसेल मंडी है, ये फार्मर वाली मंडी नहीं है. प्रोड्यूस कम्स फ्रॉम डिफरेंट पार्ट्स एंड इज देन सोल्ड एट रिटेल लेवल. Most of your retailers get the produce from Azadpur Mandi. Azadpur Mandi being such a big mandi, cold storage is significantly present. Zero grading. Only on the size and feel. हाँ ये साकेत में भेज दो, ये शादीपुर में भेज दो. This is what if you see the difference, you go to the different places, fruits or vegetables का size ही difference you see in the two places, and this is how it sells. And I have a lot of practical experience there. A lot of people associated with me are doing this agriculture trade. Someone started organic farming. Organic farming he did this ghia. अब प्रॉब्लम है कि घिया का कलर वुड नॉट बी द सेम एज व्हाट यू आर डूइंग विद द नॉर्मल पेस्टिसाइड एंड व्हाट. अब उसका साइज नॉर्मल इज ग्रीन कलर एंड द साइज इज व्हाट सेल्स द होल प्रोडक्ट. उसका ऑर्गेनिक से आया येलो. नोबडी बॉट दैट डिस्पाइट इट बीइंग ऑर्गेनिक बिकॉज यू डोंट अंडरस्टैंड. क्योंकि प्रोडक्ट बिक रहा है सिर्फ फील से. यू नॉट इंटरेस्टेड व्हाट एग्जैक्टली इज देयर इन द प्रोडक्ट, ओनली द फील इज सेलिंग द प्रोडक्ट. दिस इज हाउ ग्रेडिंग इज हैपनिंग एंड ग्रेडिंग इज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग. ग्रेडिंग ना होने की वजह से भी इंडिया का एक्सपोर्ट बहुत कम है. Despite being one of the largest producers, this lack of grading and wastage at this point, market point, is what export is compromised because you don't know what is the fertilizer content and the pesticide content. फिर वो जब बाद में कैंसर होता तब समझ नहीं आता कैंसर हुआ कैसे. ये लोग की खाइए रोज जो कैंसर कर रही है. थर्ड, the high incidence of market charges. High incidence of market charges. How is any product certified as organic? Who certifies it as organic? How do you know? What's the mechanism to certify if anything is organic or not? Anything could be sold as organic. No pesticide, but who decides it? It is the body that decides this. FSSAI, no. Food Safety Standards Authority, वो packaged foods पे है. That is Food Safety Standards Authority, that is packaged foods. Who decides organic? हाँ, you are deciding के कितना pesticide. How would you know? You said ना pesticide content पे, तो कैसे पता चलता है कितना pesticide है? How do you know? There are two schemes. See, this is why you need to read the schemes along the topics. दो स्कीम है इंडिया में, एनपीओपी एंड योर participatory guarantee scheme. In PGS India, it's the farmers themselves who certify the product as this. In NPOP, it is a body called APIDA. एक बार चेक करना NPOP, APIDA ये है. And this is how you get the certification. This is why certification का एक वो slip लगता है उस fruit या food commodity के ऊपर. If it is certified as organic. There are two schemes, NPOP and PGS India. PGS India में वो farmers आसपास के farmer certify करते हैं कि whether organic है कि नहीं है. हाँ, दिस इज व्हाट दिस इज प्रॉब्लमेटिक. इसीलिए अपीडा के थ्रू एनपीओपी का ज्यादा सर्टिफिकेशन बेटर है. दे हैव प्रॉपर मैकेनिज्म्स टू जज के कितना परसेंटेज यूज हुआ है. इससे ज्यादा है तो दे आर नॉट गोइंग टू सर्टिफाइड. दे सर्टिफाइड द होल फार्म इटसेल्फ के यहाँ इस फार्म से व्हाटएवर प्रोड्यूस इज कमिंग इज ऑर्गेनिक और नॉट. पीजीएस में बेनिफिट ये है कि अगर आप अथॉरिटी नहीं बुला सकते हो तो आसपास के 10 फार्मर से यू कैन गेट अ certificate. Yes, what it has produced is organic. That is slightly problematic as compared to NPOP. Next is high incidence of market charges. APMC is authorized to collect market fees. NPOP की बॉडी कौन सी है? अपीडा ही है आई थिंक. चेक वंस. अपीडा ही है. APMC is authorized to collect market fees ranging between 0.5 to 2% of the sale value, and in addition to these charges, other charges such as purchase tax, weighing charges, etc., have to be paid. This works out to be 13 to 15%. This works out to be 13 to 15%, and most of the burden is borne by the farmers. Next, APMC is often dominated by trader lobbies. APMC is often dominated by trader lobbies which restrict the competition by reducing the number of new licenses issued. This leads to opaque price. This leads to opaque price setting, leading to exploitation of the farmer. Next, the large variation across states. The large variation across states in the scope and stringency in the scope and stringency of the APMC acts has led to fragmentation of agriculture market in India. This means the commodity changes hand. This means the commodity changes hand 5 to 6 times before reaching the final consumer, thereby creating a significant price gap without adding any value. Is it clear the problem of APMCs? UPSC asked a question on this. There's a point of view The topic of agriculture marketing, the upward and the backward and those forward linkages is mentioned in the syllabus, and every year there is one question on this. There's a point of view that APMCs created by state laws have not only impeded the development of agriculture but also caused significant food inflation. एक बार यूपीएससी 22 का देखना क्वेश्चन. That was very easy, but how has APMC impeded the development of agriculture? And you have to critically examine how have APMCs impeded the development of agriculture, and have they impeded the development of agriculture or not? Examine है तो you would have to say yes and no both. And critically examine, that means you have to give logic for what you are saying. Whenever you have to examine something, examination happens both pro and against. Have they impeded the development of agriculture? And if yes, how? How exactly have they done this? Farmer are at a why 15 to 20%. So is it possible to directly trade with the consumer? We'll talk about this also. Be a solution का एक point है. Is it feasible to do that? Consider what's the biggest problem in this. What's the biggest problem in direct marketing? Can the farmer directly trade with the consumer? नहीं, मंडी में तो क्या प्रॉब्लम है इसके साथ? If we allow, this has been allowed in a lot of states, direct marketing. What's the problem with this? There's a significant problem in this directly trading with the consumer. प्राइस तो बल्कि ज्यादा सही है कि सीधा सीधा दोनों ने नेगोशिएट करें. प्राइस इज द बेटर पॉइंट हेयर, बल्कि इट्स द बेनिफिट. व्हाट्स द नेगेटिव? व्हाट? क्वांटिटी? हाउ? द प्रॉब्लम इज इफ यू आर सेलिंग डायरेक्टली टू द कंज्यूमर्स, एक एरिया के कंज्यूमर्स लिमिटेड क्वांटिटी ही कंज्यूम करेंगे. For example, if this Rajendra Nagar area, there's a limited amount of potato and onions which are going to sell. For example, 100 kg, 200 kg. A farmer is not just producing 100 kg, 200 kg. What exactly it is going to do with the extra produce? There's always a limitation of how much quantity you can sell to the direct consumer. One farmer is bringing large quantity. The consumer has limited. Just because farmer wants to sell more doesn't mean you are going to buy more potatoes. Okay, खुद ही लेस बनाने शुरू कर दी घर पे. So this is a point direct marketing would be a problem. So how it has impeded? We have discussed these points. Impeded because there is lack of infrastructure, there is high mandi fees, there is lack of competition, price setting नहीं है, commission agent ज़्यादा charge करता है. All of these points is what leads to impeding the development of agriculture. In fact, one of the points is market information भी clear नहीं मिलती because farmers are not reaching the mandi because mandis are far away. APMCs are far away from the mandis, lack of access of infrastructure, which all points we have discussed. How it has caused food inflation? Two major points that you could write here. One is that the APMC regulated space is fragmented. Every mandi has its own rules and regulations. Across states it is different. So 1 point to 1 point वो जाएगा तो price gap बढ़ता जाएगा. Second, you don't have a lot of infrastructure. This is why your food gets wasted. And if there is high wastage, that means high price. So these are the two major reasons what cause food inflation. Is it clear how this has to be addressed? है अपवर्ड बैकवर्ड लिंकेज का क्वेश्चन है. हाँ हाँ, अपवर्ड एंड डाउनवर्ड डाउनस्ट्रीम ऐसा कुछ है, अपस्ट्रीम एंड डाउनस्ट्रीम. इज इट क्लियर हाउ दिस हैज टू बी एड्रेस्ड? व्हाट वुड बी द कंक्लूजन? व्हाट इज द सॉल्यूशन? Strengthen the APMC. Wow. How? By developing infrastructure. So how are you strengthening the committee by developing infrastructure? How exactly can you strengthen the APMC? Infrastructure. Okay. Let's see what exactly are the solutions for this. Model APMC Act 2003, Model APMC Act 2018. They give the same solutions, and all of these solutions are being implemented in India. Most of the states have done. Before that, write this question also. This question they have asked this year, 2022. This year the paper 3 GS3 was very simple. Topics जो syllabus में लिखे हैं उनके आगे उन्होंने बस what लिख दिया and they've asked the question. One of the topics given is food processing. They've asked what is significance of food processing. This is mentioned in your syllabus. The issues of upstream and downstream process of marketing of agriculture products. One issue in marketing of product is APMC. The other issue is Essential Commodities Act, which we are going to discuss in a while. What is upstream and downstream here? What is the upstream and downstream for agriculture marketing? Mandi se? Upstream is what? Upstream is up. बहुत aptitude है क्लास में. IQ levels are up. Upstream is up. Huh? Upstream is the raw material. Downstream is market. Remember upstream exploration and production. Downstream was retailing. ये retail है to the consumer. ये upstream is. This upstream is also your backward linkage, and downstream is your forward linkage. Whenever you don't know what is upstream or downstream, just write upstream and downstream challenges are. अगर upstream downstream अलग लिखोगे और उल्टा लिख दिया, less marks. So जब भी पता नहीं है दोनों का तो इकट्ठे लिख दो. Upstream and downstream challenges are, write everything together. If you don't know, कहीं अपस्ट्रीम में फार्मर मार्केट लिख दिया, डाउनस्ट्रीम में तो इकट्ठे लिख दो. दिस इज अ सेफ वे आउट. If you don't know any meaning, first try to read it in Hindi. A lot of times, if you don't understand the meaning of the word, read it in Hindi in both your prelims and mains. Most of the times, वहीं पे solve हो जाएगा. Otherwise, write it together. Because unlike prelims, यहाँ sheets भरनी है. So your intelligence would show. So better to have a way out. Is it clear? This I don't think this question is difficult. Upstream and downstream challenges. Now, what could be the solutions? What could be the solutions for this APMC? Both Model Act of 2003 and 2018, Model Agriculture Produce Marketing Act 2018, both give the same answer. Solutions. Now there are three different types of solutions which are recommended. First, we need to have reforms in APMCs. How can you break the APMC trader lobby? One of the biggest problem is that new number of licenses are not issued. So how can you break this lobby between APMC and the traders? More license कैसे करवाओगे वो वही तो नहीं देने दे रहे उनको. How are you going to make that work? More farmers. How are you going to bring more farmers? How are you going to democratize? Regular elections of APMCs. This is going to break the APMC trader lobby. They are going to issue more license. If you're going to have a regular elections of this committee, 6 months, 1 year, if you replace the members, you can have a possibility of getting more number of license. If it is dominated by a single member or a single few members who are there for longer durations, you're going to have problems. What else reforms in APMC? See, this is something, create more mandi than infrastructure to hai hi. One of the problems was that we were fragmenting the market in the state itself by having different license for different mandis. So if you have only one license for the complete state, this is going to stop the fragmentation. Prices would be slightly less, price gap would be less if there's one license for the complete state. Further, you can have regulation of APMC within the market yard only. Outside the APMC, you reduce the regulations, allow trade to happen freely. In fact, what you can do is you can deregulate some of the items. For example, fruits and vegetables could be allowed to sell outside the mandi without the oversight of APMC. And these two things are what a lot of states have done. For example, Maharashtra. Maharashtra has deregulated fruits and vegetables that they can be sold outside the mandi without the extra fees and the oversight of the APMC. Now, this is a choice both for the traders and farmers. We are not forcing anyone to trade outside. You have the option of both APMC and fruits and vegetables. In fact, what outside the mandi, what this benefit is that if you are going to have reforms in the APMC, one marketplace is APMC and the outside market is your, say, private mandi. Private mandi mein what we are allowing you is to trade without APMC approval and also in few vegetables. What has happened is APMC has come out to be so strong. जब private mandi में trade हो रहा है, this is what has happened in most of the states. How are they going to decide the price? Auction. How are we going to start the base price? This is what the APMCs help in, because every year what auction price is fetched here gives a benchmark to the private mandi what price should be settled at. In fact, we discussed one solution for MSP. The solution for MSP was that price deficiency payment. That whatever the trade is happening between farmer and trader, you pay the difference. How does the government know what exactly is the price? This is again the price traded in APMC. So APMCs serve a very important function by setting a price benchmark, because APMCs are maintaining complete information on price information across different years. In fact, whenever there is a dispute between the farmers and the traders that they have been paid less, for example, there have been a lot of cases which are referred to the Competition Commission of India, क्योंकि cartelization होती है, price depression है, so you can challenge it in the Competition Commission. Now, how does Competition Commission decide के prices कम थे के ज़्यादा थे? This is what APMC price information of the previous 10 to 15 years can show us what the prices were, the product was trading at, and this is going to determine this year whether there was cartel action or not. So this price information and maintenance of all data is what is the benefit which an APMC accords. ये प्रॉब्लम फार्म बिल में भी थी कि फार्म बिल में अगर कोई डिस्प्यूट होता है इन द फ्री ट्रेड एरिया, हु इज गोइंग टू डिसाइड हाउ द डिस्प्यूट इज गोइंग टू बी सॉल्व्ड? हाउ विल द एसडीएम डिसाइड व्हाट शुड बी द प्राइस? दिस कलेक्शन ऑफ प्राइस इंफॉर्मेशन इज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट फंक्शन ऑफ एपीएमसी विच द फ्री ट्रेड एरिया वुड नॉट हैव, क्योंकि डीरेगुलेटेड एरिया में कोई एक बॉडी नहीं थी जो प्राइस इंफॉर्मेशन कलेक्ट करे. अब आप एक the only thing of the transaction between farmer and trader was a slip that 100 kg was traded at 20 rupees. अब SDM कैसे बताए कि वो 15 रुपए होना चाहिए या 25 होना चाहिए? Because he doesn't have a price information what the trade happened in the previous years. This is one of the benefits of APMC. This is why we are trying to reform the APMC, create parallel structures for competition also. Plus reduction of fees. You can reduce the amount of fees which is being charged so that the burden reduces. So this is what the reforms in APMCs would be. Another reform which the Act suggested was that one is you reform the regulated marketplace. The second is provide a competition to the marketplace. So the reforms are centered around two axes. One reform axis is कि competition APMC में ही बढ़ाना है by regular elections. Second is that give a competition to the APMCs. Now, how can you give a competition to the APMCs? The Act suggests three different ways. One, allow the establishment of private mandis. Give license for private mandis so that private player can establish their own mandis, and now farmer and traders both have two options, one to trade in the APMC, other to trade in the private mandis. This has been very successful in two states, Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra. Madhya Pradesh was the first to give a license to the private mandi, the ITC Chopal. ITC used to trade in a single product, I think soybean, and then they were allowed to trade in different products. But this got a lot of benefits because the private mandis got the opportunities in the terms of infrastructure and also better prices. अब वो farmer के पास option है कि यहाँ जाए या private mandi. Recently, more than 60 licenses have been given by Maharashtra to private mandis. And private mandis and APMC together are going to provide a competition. Another thing which a lot of states are doing is, this is called as direct marketing. Direct marketing is a place where farmer can directly sell to the consumer. This is also an option provided along with APMC and private mandis. So a lot of apna mandis have been set up where the farmers and consumers directly meet to sell. इसकी प्रॉब्लम यही है कि what quantity you can sell at a point, because you will need access to a wholesale market because your quantity is more. So there the private mandi and the APMC can help. फ्री ट्रेड एरिया वो तो कोई रेगुलेशन नहीं था ना. प्राइवेट मंडीज को लाइसेंस कौन देगा? द लाइसेंस इज गोइंग टू बी गिवन बाय द स्टेट मार्केटिंग बोर्ड ओनली. हमारी ओवरसाइट के अंदर ही हमने प्राइवेट मंडी का लाइसेंस दिया. कुछ प्रॉब्लम होगा, यू आर गोइंग टू कम टू अस. So this is regulated space only, and private mandis license के बाद operate करेंगे. Without a license we are not. So this is all regulation, but a lighter regulation to promote competition. Another form of marketing that has to be promoted is called as cooperative marketing. Any example of cooperative marketing? Selling of products. यही राजेंद्र नगर में बहुत एग्जाम्पल्स है. लिज्जत पापड़ तो प्रोडक्ट बेस्ड हो गया एक, एंड देयर वैल्यू एडिशन, वो तो दे आर मेकिंग अनदर प्रोडक्ट. सफल, मदर डेयरी, all of these units are also cooperative market where farmers or any other people together can market the products, buying it from the farmers, selling it to the consumers. This is also a better than private or APMC. So cooperative marketing, private marketing and direct marketing, these are some of the areas where you can improve the level of competition with the APMC. Another thing that can be done is you can promote contract farming. Contract farming where the already decided price, the farmer is producing a product and giving to the consumer, whoever wants it. So these are alternative marketing methods as compared to APMC. So one end is you solve the problem of APMCs, make them better. Second, provide alternative marketing methods so that you have competition with the APMC. And these all reforms are something which are already being done by the states. It's not that these states, a lot of states are not doing this. Everything is being done by these states to promote more marketing options to the farmers. And the third set of reform is providing technology. Now, how can you provide technology, or what technology can you provide in marketing? This reform started with Karnataka. Karnataka was the first to create this regulated e-marketplace. Electronic weighing machines. वो तो APMC के अंदर ही है infrastructure. What is ENAM? Platform for what? Price determination. How? One common market. How? You have different APMCs. What exactly is ENAM doing? And ENAM आया कहाँ से था? Karnataka had built a structure called REMS, Regulated E-Marketplace. कर्नाटका का ही एग्जाम्पल ENAM ने लिया है. You have different APMCs. All of these APMCs now will be linked on a digital platform. This common marketplace is not a new structure. It is linking all the APMCs of the country at one digital platform. Now, how exactly it is going to help? ये ERMS, that is कर्नाटका, this was the earlier example जहाँ कर्नाटका ने अपने सारे market places एक online platform पे they did it. This got successful. Now is being replicated at the national level. Now, how is this linking all APMC on the digital platform going to help? Prices information. What else? What's the benefit here when I link all the APMCs? This is leading to an integrated marketplace. अब हमारी fragmented marketplace नहीं होगा, big integrated marketplace होगा. We were talking about good moving from one to another. Therefore, the price gap increased because everyone was regulated by different rules. Now, what ENAM is doing is, if a farmer is going to one mandi, this is the local mandi available to him, Now, the local mandi is not the only place where he can sell. He can sell this produce to any APMC of the country. A trader in this APMC can also, for example, this APMC is in Tamil Nadu and this APMC is in Punjab. So this farmer is getting the produce here and now he can sell to any number of traders in the whole country. This trader can book the price here. The number of competition is increasing for the farmer, therefore he's getting a better price. Since all the APMCs are now linked to each other. So is portal pe what he can bid for the produce. And for this, one thing is required, one that you need to have a single license for the whole state, because ये trader एक स्टेट का लाइसेंस ले सकता है, ये उस स्टेट के अंदर 10 एपीएमसी का लाइसेंस नहीं ले पाएगा. So to do this reform, you have to provide single license. So for example, this trader in Tamil Nadu will buy the license for whole Punjab and now can trade in the markets of Punjab. So one state ka license is what you have to provide. What else would be the problem here? Have you understood ENAM hai kya? Integrated marketplace. We are linking all the APMCs at one platform. Digital platform for trading of agriculture goods by linking all APMCs. Roughly 675, 685 APMCs exist in the country. सबको एक platform पे लाना है. What is the problem here? Yes, the biggest problem is grading. How will you ascertain the quality? This is the problem which the ENAM is going to solve. ENAM is providing money to all APMCs to install infrastructure for grading. ENAM is not just providing infrastructure for having digital trading, that you need an infrastructure for digital trading also. It is also going to install infrastructure for grading and quality specification so that this trade doesn't get stopped because of quality asserting. So two things which are required here to trade happen: one, single license all state, and quality specification. ENAM would be a success. Karnataka has already done it by doing this. So digital trading is one benefit which you can get from ENAM. So these are the three different types of reforms which are required in agriculture marketing to get better price for the farmers and good quality produce at a cheaper price to the consumer. Both things have to be ensured, that good price and also cheaper quality and price both should be better for the consumer, and good price for the farmer, having multiple options to sell, not just sell in the APMC but provide them alternative marketing sites also. Is this clear? You can write down solutions for marketing. Solutions first. Reforms in APMC. Reforms in APMC. In this side first. Democratizing APMC. Democratizing APMC. By conducting regular elections. Second, rationalization of market fees. And commission charges. Rationalization of market fees and commission charges. Third, limiting the regulation of APMC. Limiting the regulation of APMC. Within the market yard. Next, declaration of warehouses. Declaration of warehouse. Cold storage. And other such related structures. And other such related structures as the designated marketplace. As the designated marketplace. provide better linkages to the farmers. Next, providing a single license for all state. Providing a single license for all state. And a single point of market fees collection. And a single point for market fees collection. Next, deregulating some commodities. Deregulating some commodities such as fruits and vegetables. Now write the second point. First is reforms in APMC. Second is promoting alternative marketing systems. Promoting alternative marketing systems. In this, right, first, establishing a direct interface. Establishing a direct interface between farmers and consumers. Example, Apna Bazaar in Punjab and Haryana. Second, giving license for private wholesale market yards. Giving license for private wholesale market yards to enhance the competition between different markets for the farmers' produce. Third, promoting cooperative farming, cooperative marketing, promoting cooperative marketing and contract farming. Third, introduction of technology. First is reforms in APMC. Second is alternative marketing system. Third, technology. Introduction of technology. Which includes promotion of electronic trading. Includes promotion of electronic trading so as to enhance transparency in trade operations. Enhance transparency in trade operations. And integration of markets across different geographies. Example, the regulated e-marketplace REMS, REMS of Karnataka, regulated e-marketplace of Karnataka. And regulated e-marketplace, Karnataka. Is it clear, the solutions? You can also write ENAM, Electronic National Agriculture Market, ENAM. It is a pan-India electronic trading portal. ENAM is a pan-India electronic trading portal which connects the producers and which connects the existing APMCs, to create a unified national market for agriculture commodities. Unified national market for agriculture commodities. It not only removes the information asymmetry, it not only removes the information asymmetry, improve नहीं है, remove है. Not only remove the information asymmetry, but also promotes real-time price discovery. Next problem in marketing is your Essential Commodities Act 1955. See, when we have to discuss the upstream and downstream problems, one is problems with APMC, the second problem is Essential Commodities Act. You also have to talk about this act because this alone act is one thing that is a hindrance to private investment in agriculture. Single-handedly distorts private investment in agriculture, and this is what the government was also trying to reform under the third bill. 3 bill the, one was on APMC called the Farmers Produce Facilitation of Trade, second was contract farming, third was amendment to this. Now, what exactly is the problem of Essential Commodities Act, or what exactly is the objective of this act? Any rough idea? Black marketing नहीं हो, कैसे रोकेगा black marketing? Under the Essential Commodities Act, the whole act's objective is to protect the consumer from abrupt price hikes. Now, one of the reason for abrupt price hike is supply shortage. Now, how can you create the supply shortage? Artificially. Artificial supply shortage by hoarding or stocking the commodity. इसी चीज को बचाने के लिए is Essential Commodities Act. And now what the Essential Commodities Act says is that if the government comes out with a notification that price hike has happened significantly, the reason is not clear, but if the government notifies certain things under the Essential Commodities Act, there are going to be limits on how much you're going to store. The government, through a notification, both center and state, can pass a notification under the Essential Commodities Act where they can limit the amount of commodity you can store. Now, what is the problem with this? This sounds very rational. Hoarding or stocking के against है, because you want to protect the consumer from abrupt price hike. Then what's the problem here? This sounds very rational. कि price abrupt hike होगा तो we are going to have a problem. We want to solve this problem. And what's the problem? Why are we saying that Essential Commodities Act is a hindrance to private investment in agriculture? Single handedly इस एक्ट ने ही रोक रखा है सब कुछ, मार्केट के हिसाब से, बट ये दिस इज एन इलीगल एक्टिविटी यू आर डूइंग. So the government is trying to solve. What is the problem in this whole mechanism? So what is the इसमें इस situation में क्या है? You should allow this to happen. The whole problem what this system has, that when the government passes a notification for notifying this limit, there is no objective ground whether price has increased or not. जो ये डिसीजन लेना है कि सप्लाई शॉर्टेज हुआ है जिसकी वजह से प्राइस बढ़ा है एंड देयर हैज होर्डिंग हैपेंड, दिस हैज टू बी बेस्ड ऑन सर्टेन ऑब्जेक्टिव पैरामीटर्स. There has to be a price formula. There has to be certain investigation that hoarding has happened. The moment price hike happened doesn't mean it is because of supply shortage and artificial scarcity. जरूरी नहीं है सिर्फ एक ये reason हो. And even if you think this is the reason, at what point do you think the price hike notification will come? Whether the price hike has happened by 10%, 20%, 50%, 100%, कितना आपका formula है? And what are the investigations you've carried out? The whole point of this notification and imposing this limit is all very subjective, which happens at the discretion of the government. There is no objectivity and predictability of this mechanism. This is what causes the problem. It's not the system has a problem that you can't do this. This is in any way an illegal activity where you're creating artificial scarcity. The problem is this limitation or notification by the government should be backed by an objective parameters, not at the discretion. And the problem ये नहीं कि सिर्फ subjective है. That is, there is lack of predictability. But the problem is something which lacks predictability. If it is happening once a while, it is easy for the private traders to deal with this. But if it is happening too frequently, and the notification also lasts for 6 months or 1 year, this then destroys the business. That first, you don't have any predictability, you have not given any formula for applying this notification. And secondly, you are also doing this very frequently. This destroys the business for the private player, and this is why no private player is going to invest in warehouse or storage. In fact, your value addition, food processing maybe वो नहीं करेंगे, because if you're going to put limits on how much they can store at a time, you're not going to have investments. One of the reasons why India has the least amount of value addition. In fact, whatever exports India does is not value added products, but are mostly raw materials or primary processed products, not secondary processing, where the maximum value lies. फूड प्रोसेसिंग को रोकने वाली ही दो चीज़ें हैं. वन इज एपीएमसी, बिकॉज द वन हु वांट्स टू प्रोसेस, पहले उसको अगर 10 जगह के लाइसेंस लेना है, ही इज नॉट एबल टू गेट द रॉ मटेरियल. Second problem with food processing is the Essential Commodities Act, that if I'm processing something, I will need to have stocks of it. And if you're not allowing me to have stocks, there's no objectivity in applying these notifications. My storage would not be significant. I'm not able to produce. These are the two major problems. Food processing on the back end. Front end पे भी food processing में problem है. For example, food processing doesn't innovate. How many flavors of ketchup we have in India? How many flavors of ketchup or even jam? Mixed fruit, tomato ketchup. How many number of variants can exist in the market for the same? या तो वो स्पाइसी केचप कर तो है तो टोमेटो ही, उसमें बस मिर्ची डाल दी. You don't have different flavors. This is product diversification नहीं करते लोग, क्योंकि इनको पीछे से ही products इतने नहीं मिल रहे. So what they do is they just will invest in the products which sell the maximum in the market. Just like farmers want MSP, food processing will develop only one product which knows is going to sell in the market. This is why any of the food products, be it or not just ketchup or jams or anything, juices and all, you don't have a lot of variety in India because of the back-end linkages being missing and Essential Commodities Act. So since this is not predictable, this is not going to happen. Now the amendment, what was the government doing in the amendment? Did the government remove the Essential Commodities Act? What did the amendment do? The whole idea was this abrupt price hike was linked to supply shortages. The government gave a objective formula when it will apply. First, some of the commodities were removed from the act, schedule of the act, some of the commodities were removed. And whenever the Essential Commodities Act will apply, the government gave a formula. But even this act was removed with all the 3 farm bills. In fact, this farm bill already was negated by the government itself. Prices hiked in pulses. The government imposed Essential Commodities Act even when the formula was not satisfied. Because the problem is, whenever the consumers face an abrupt price hike, you have a problem politically. This is why you can't wait for the formula to come, and the government does not have a lot of tools to deal with this price hike apart from imposing this regulatory norms. Government cannot increase the production in a day. So the first thing which they do is apply this restriction. And when they apply this restriction, that means there's no incentive to invest. So not just APMC, but Essential Commodities Act is the reason why you don't have significant improvements in both these technologies in India. Is it clear? You can write down Essential Commodities Act. The biggest problem is that consumers, that is mostly the middle class consumers, are considered more politically active and something to be pandered to against the farmers. Farmers का collective block दिखता नहीं है, it's dispersed. These consumers who are buying the pulses or onions, they are the ones who will make a lot of noise because उनका concern national media भी play करेगी. If you see how the media has been structured in the country, media is highly, you can say, centered around Delhi and its issues. They will never cover what is happening in rest part of the world. It's highly centered around what happens in Delhi and the nearby states. So price rise, because it affects the middle class consumers, gets centered, is an important political issue. But the farmers are dispersed, that is why it is not displayed. This is why Essential Commodities Act, even when it is can hurt the farmers, the government will still go with it because the consumers are hurting. This is why I said all of the inflation controlling measures are against the producer, favoring the consumer. This is the major problem. Essential Commodities Act 1955. It gives the central government wide ranging powers to impose restrictions on storage and movement of certain commodities, storage and movement of certain commodities by private parties with the objective of protecting, with the objective of protecting the consumer interest. In the next line, state governments are free to set stocking limitations based on center's notification. In the next line, historically these restrictions have neither been predictable nor infrequent. This creates uncertainty which hinders the operation of agri-business logistic firms, hinders the operation of agri-business logistics firms and traders, thereby reducing the private investments, thereby reducing the private investments in agricultural market supply chain. Hey, UPSC has asked a lot of questions broadly on problems in marketing in India. So you don't have to just talk about APMC problems, you also have to talk about Essential Commodities Act. Questions have been very broad, just talking about what are the issues in marketing, because the term itself mentioned in the syllabus is agriculture marketing and the bottlenecks in upstream and downstream. So not just APMC is a problem, even Essential Commodities Act is a problem in the marketing process. Is it clear? Next we'll start with PDS, but after a break. We're done with APMC marketing. PDS after a break. What is the idea of public distribution system? What is PDS? And why is PDS required in the country? Alleviate poverty. How? What is basic necessity? That's the only basic necessity? PDS according. Nothing else. Why? Dawa daru. What's the necessity? And who decides the necessity? And is it only food? It could be any item. Distribution through the public agencies, it could be any item. Cement मिलती है तमिलनाडु में through PDS. Very nice. Now, why this system was started and when was the system started? Basic necessity, when and why this system? 1970s. 1940s, when? Before that. The system started during World War II. And the whole genesis of the system was that a system of. Why is it called the ration card, or what exactly is ration? Atta dal is ration. What is ration? And this is where the name comes. This is the genesis of the system, is where it gives the name of ration card, ration shop. What exactly do you understand by ration? तभी लोग CSAT में English clear नहीं कर पाते. Because ration according to you is dal atta. The ration card, ration shop is. What is ration? What's the English mean? This is an English word, not a Hindi word. Ration वो नहीं है. Ration this. What is the meaning? One you've eliminated. It's not dal atta. What is ration? This is why Hindu is difficult to read. Because for the first time you get to know a lot of words के ये भी है डिक्शनरी में. ये भी इंग्लिश वोकैबुलरी है. नॉर्मल चीजें क्या होती है? नॉर्मल चीजें. What is ration? This is a very commonly used term. Huh? What? Rightful distribution. ये तो right. What is right and wrong? And who decides is rightful? What is ration? Any rough meaning? एक हो गया. खाने पीने की चीजें राशन. तो दाल आटा क्या? देखने की चीजें हो. What is ration? What is the meaning of rationing or ration? Logic. रैशनल मतलब लॉजिक, मतलब वही क्वेश्चन कुछ और है, आंसर मेरा ये है. Forget what your question is. My answer is this. What is ration? Rationing is restricting the supply, fixing the quantity you can eat. Rationing the supply, that means fixing the amount of quantities which you can eat or which you can consume. The whole concept of rationing is fix the amount of supply. So if it is you eat more of some things, two biscuits per day, that means you have rationed the supply. Ration means restricting the supply, fixing it to a minimum amount. Now, why this rationing was required? Because during the World War II, there was a significant shortage of goods. The shortage of goods, and the problem was that the Britishers had to feed their soldiers, and therefore they started a system of rationing only in the cities. So, some cities, rationing of supply happened where the government restricted the supply and was providing this fixed amount through its distribution system, that is public distribution system. So the whole system, this is why it is called a ration card, a ration shop, because the system emerged in a situation of shortages where there was scarcity of food grains, and it had to provide those food grains to its soldiers stationed in the cities. They were restricting the amount of supply or fixing the amount you can consume of food grains. It started with food grains only because the shortage was of food grains. This shortage became all the more significant in 1943 when you had the Bengal famine. In 1943, when Bengal famine hit, the shortage was more significant. Therefore, more cities were covered under the PDS. So PDS started as a rationing system where the government was restricting the amount of food you can consume because the supply was limited. This is where they were distributing those fixed amount from their own shops. This is why it is called as the public distribution system. The amount of rations was how much supply was limited, वो fixed कितनी quantity थी. Now then it was spread to certain cities. 1947, the government thought 1947, 1948 was not a significant shortage. The government thought why we need the PDS system because rationing की अब जरूरत नहीं है. But 1948, the production was not high, failure of monsoons, you had to get imports from outside. This is why the government continued with the PDS because supply shortages were still there and the government had certain socio-economic welfare objectives where they had to provide food to the people. Initially, 1946, when the Second World War ended, this PDS rationing system was abolished in all the countries where it was functioning. British run system था. 46 में war खत्म होते ही they had stopped doing this because major requirement उनकी military needs थी कि that city में station soldiers को खाना नहीं मिल पा रहा था. 1946 everyone ended it. 1947-48 we continued it because we were distributing socio-economic welfare under DPSP, and food grain shortage was a concern which India would face in some of the years because we did not improve the production of food grains. Now, in fact, what happened in 1950s was 1950s, the first decade after independence, we divided certain areas. These were called as your statutory rationing areas and the non-statutory rationing areas. Under the statutory rationing areas, in these areas, the food was only available through the PDS shops. There was no open market availability. The non-statutory rationing areas, you had the option to take it from the PDS or from the open market. But the idea of PDS was that this PDS system was available to all. PDS was not limited to few quantity or few people. It was a universal system and existing only in the cities. No significant increase in production. In certain areas, only PDS, in certain areas, open and PDS both. This was decided by the government based on where the shortages were significant. 1964, the government establishes an institutional structure for PDS by creating the FCI. When the government in 1964 created the FCI, the government distributed the responsibilities between the center and states. Till now, there was no institutional structure of running the PDS. It was not having a significant backing. The moment FCI is created, center has the responsibility of procurement of grains, states has the responsibility of issuing the ration cards and then distributing the grains to the people. So responsibility distribution happens in 1964. 1970s, we have Green Revolution. Green Revolution means now we have surplus. There's no shortage now. Now, when we have surplus in the system due to the Green Revolution, then why is the PDS required? PDS was required only because rationing कब काम आएगी जब shortage है. Then only you have to fix the amount. But if there's no shortage, why would you ration someone's supply? Do you understand? Shortage है तभी rationing करना है, तभी PDS चाहिए. Now when there's no shortage, why PDS now? Till now, PDS operated as a rationing system. Now is it clear what's the meaning of rationing? Ration. It is not dal chawal. Restricting the supply of any commodity is rationing. Now why do you need the PDS as a rationing system? Emergency के time. Why? तो अब शॉर्टेज नहीं है ना, अब तो सरप्लस है, अब तो एफसीए के पास भी फूड ग्रेन्स है. व्हाई डू नीड द रेगुलर सिस्टम ऑफ पीडीएस? वेलफेयर. व्हाई वेलफेयर? Now the system says now the problem is not the quantity is short. The problem is what about the price of food grains. This is where the PDS system transforms from a rationing system to a fair price system. This is why no longer those point of distribution are called as ration shop. These are called as fair price shops. The whole objective of PDS changes in 1970s, where we shift from a rationing system to a fair price shops. No longer we have to control the quantity we have to give because now we have surplus. Problem is कि वो surplus का price क्या है? Because it was realized that a lot of people can still not afford food. Quantity की problem नहीं है, affordability की है. This is why to provide welfare to the people, we continued it as a fair price shop. But 1970s, 1980s, in fact till 1992, the PDS in India is a universal system. We are not limiting it to certain categories of people. It's a completely universal system and it is mostly run in the cities. It is not in rural areas. Why not in rural areas? Because what the assumption of the government is कि rural areas में तो production हो ही रहा है. Agriculture production is happening in the rural areas, so there would be no shortage, no problem of price. But 1980s, late 70s and early 80s, some states thought that this is a problem in rural areas also. So they extended the PDS in rural areas. Only some states had extended it to the rural areas. It was still a universal generic system, mostly stationed in the cities. Some states extended to rural areas and also started targeting a few people. They thought some need more subsidy as compared to other, so they started giving more subsidies to certain groups, for example, SCs and STs. But this was only by some states, not by all. So some states extended to rural and also benefits to certain groups, identification of groups. The idea is now that it is a fair price system, not a rationing system. For the first time, targeting happens in 1992. 1992 and then in 1997. In 1992, what the government brings is a program called Revamped PDS. Now, what is the idea of the Revamped PDS? All of the parts in the country are getting food under the PDS system. It's not restricted to any specific place or specific groups of people. The government identified certain states, and within those certain states, certain districts, which are considered very poor. There are certain districts of the states which are poorest of the poor. The government was running a scheme here called the Backward Grants Relief Scheme, BGRF, which was later converted into aspirational districts. In fact, BGRF se bhi pehle, there were a lot of area specific programs that would run here because these were considered poor of the poorest regions. So what the government did here was that whatever will be the price for the normal PDS, these areas, these districts, in fact, they picked out certain blocks. These blocks will get a discount on the PDS price. So FCI is giving the grains to the states, and this FCI grains to the state is coming at a normal central issue price. Revamped blocks को जो PDS मिलेगा, they will get a discount on CIP -1 rupees or -2 rupees. So the first time Targeting under PDS happens when the government picks out certain blocks which are considered poorest of the poor, and there are certain area specific programs being run there. There the price would be lesser than the normal PDS. 1992 this system is started. 1997 this system is ended. And why the system ended? 1996 World Bank published a report which said that India is running a food security program distributing grains at a fair price to all its population. It's a universal program. Therefore, the subsidy which they are giving on food is significantly high, leading to poor management of government expenditure and high fiscal deficit. This is something which they should control. And this is why in 1997 we established a system called the targeted PDS. So now PDS in India is not a universal scheme. 97 onwards, PDS is a targeted system where we are targeting the poor. So 97 is the first time when the PDS was shifted from a universal system to a targeted system where the target was poor. This is where you have different color identification cards issued by the state governments, because now you have to give it to the poor. This system will get a legal backing in 2013 when we pass the NFSA. We'll discuss what the features of NFSA and TPDS is, but the idea is till 97 PDS was a universal system mostly in cities in India. 97 ke baad hi we are targeting people under the PDS to whom we have to provide the subsidized grains. The subsidy has now been limited to the poor. Poor ka expansion will happen after NFSA, but it is not a universal scheme. Is it clear? You can write down public distribution system. PDS started as a wartime rationing measure. PDS started as a wartime rationing measure. During World War II, to manage scarcity, during World War II, to manage scarcity and distribute food grains to the population, at accessible prices. The system was limited only to urban areas. The system was limited only to the urban areas. And was stopped after the war. In the next line. However, with renewed food inflation, with the renewed food inflation and consistent food shortages, the government reintroduced the PDS with the objective of first, rationing during situations of scarcity. Rationing during situations of scarcity. Second, providing food grains and other essential items at accessible prices. Next, maintaining price stability. Maintaining price stability. शायद आरसीबी जीत गई इसलिए हो रहा है. By keeping a check on private trade, as in 48 degrees of temperature and then rain. Maintaining price stability by keeping a check on private trade. Next, to attempt socialization. In the matter of distribution of essential commodities. To attempt socialization in the matter of distribution of essential commodities. What do you understand by the last point? The first three are easy. What is last? Socialization means equality. So you're distributing it to everyone. So what is socialization then? So we had already written the second point, subsidizing at accessible price. What is socialization? बहुत चीजें फील के साथ सॉल्व कर देते हो. What is socialization? You've done ethics. What are the agents of socialization? फिर वहीं से थोड़ा रिलेट कर लो सोशलाइजेशन क्या होती है. And it again, it's a very basic English word. Teachers, what exactly the socialization the family is doing or school is doing? Sharing. So socialization is meeting other people. Socializing. This is a point of socialization. This class is a point of socialization. कोशिश की है ना दोस्त बनाने की, वो socialization है. What exactly do you think is socialization? Why school is an agent of socialization? This is one point where you socialize, you meet other people. Because if you don't go to the school, whatever your parents are teaching, what they know, traditional. These are these people, ये ऐसे ही होते हैं. You go to the school, you come to know नहीं ऐसे नहीं होते हैं. The other agent of socialization is your college, your workplace, where you meet diverse people and get to know their backgrounds. This is what is socialization. This is a point of socialization, where you're meeting people of different backgrounds. You can coming to know what exactly is happening and not. So this is why they are agents of socialization, which build your perception towards the society. So this socialization, how will PDS create this socialization? In fact, most of the students are taking admission for socialization. कोविड में तो हो नहीं पाया कॉलेज में. व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप्स डीपी चेक कर रहे हैं ग्रुप्स में ही बस. I got your number from the group. We are in the same section. Are you also preparing for UPSC? What exactly is socialization happening at PDS? WhatsApp is the most important agent of socialization now. Zero privacy. In fact, if you see, that agent of socialization is highly invasive. Anyone can take the number from the group and without any permission can text you. Highly invasive. Without any permission, the people who have got the numbers, and this is why even UPI is considered to be one of the most invasive methods of payment. Because whenever you make a UPI payment, you share your information. Either your email address is linked to the UPI or your phone number. And the moment phone number goes to the second person, he can send you any amount of marketing mails. This is how UPI has very less features of protecting against privacy. Because whenever you're going to make a payment through UPI, either you're going to send your phone number or you're going to send your UPI address. And UPI address is your email ID. वो gmail.com हटा के वो बैंक का नाम लगा देता है. Rest is your email ID only. So both your information are going in to the person to whom you are making the payment or from whom you are receiving the payment. This is why it is highly invasive. WhatsApp तो है ही, anyone can take your number from the group and text you. This is why it's an agent of socialization, which is highly invasive. How is PDS an agent of socialization? Yes, meeting in the ration shops, because the government knew that the society is highly divided across various axes, be it religion, be it gender, be it caste. And if everybody is standing in the same line, this is a point where they are going to exchange information, they're going to talk. And the moment they're going to do this, this is where they're going to lose their prejudices and stereotypes which we have. Socialization is the most important thing which removes these prejudices and stereotypes, because the traditional thoughts which you learn from the family, they're coming with whatever life they have seen. The exposure to different people is what makes your mind more broad. This is why, if you know, US में admissions to the prestigious universities, they have a diversity quota. You're not selected only on your marks. For example, Harvard में this is not just based on marks. जैसे India में it's only on marks. There's also a diversity quotient where your background will decide whether you get selected or not. So if you are doing certain things different, for example, a painter, a dancer, you have more chances of getting into that institution, because we want to build a diverse workplace or a diverse institution, so that exchange of ideas happen, so that people understand each other's lives, and the prejudices and stereotypes which people carry, these are destroyed. दो चीज़ों से ही होता है prejudices, stereotypes destroy. One is when you socialize, and second when you read. Reading experiences of other people through newspaper and through books is also what sensitizes you towards them. Otherwise, you're always going to carry one phenomena कि ये caste है तो ऐसा ही होगा, ये religion है तो ऐसा ही होगा, ये gender है तो ऐसा ही होगा. The whole concept that girls are pink and boys are blue. This is a prejudice. Even boys can like pink and the girls can like blue. It's not necessary, because this is a learned prejudice which is coming from the society. How do you learn this? When you meet new people. All of these prejudices which is deciding occupation, which are stereotyping people into certain categories, this comes because socialization बहुत limited है. This is why Ambedkar said villages are a den of ignorance, because you are living in the same thoughts year by year. वो repetition हो रहा है generation by generation. This is why we say when you go to the cities, cities are called as metropolitan spaces, because you don't care who is serving you the burger, whatever caste is. यही अगर village होता, वो आप देखते कौन सी caste का है. तो वो सोशलाइजेशन कैसे हुई है, वो सिटी में जाके एक्सपोजर हुआ है. योर आइडेंटिटी इज सेकेंडरी. मेट्रोपॉलिटन कॉस्मोपॉलिटन आइडेंटिटी बनती है सिटी में. दिस इज वेयर यू आर सोशलाइज. सेम थिंग हैपेंस इन अ क्लासरूम. पीपल कमिंग फ्रॉम डिफरेंट बैकग्राउंड्स. अदरवाइज एवरीबडी थिंक्स विंध्यास के नीचे से इडली सांभर मिलता है, वही साउथ इंडियन है. इट्स नॉट द सेम. देर आर 4 डिफरेंट लैंग्वेजेस. एवरी प्लेस हैज इट्स ओन डिस्टिंक्ट कल्चर. सिर्फ एक इडली सांभर यू कैन नॉट डिफाइन साउथ इंडिया. साउथ इंडियन खाते हैं, साउथ इंडियन क्या है? इडली सांभर. Similarly, you can't say South India is idli sambar, North India is chole bhature. बहुत differences हैं. In fact, the whole idea about South India, people think there is only one language. Priyanka Chopra abhi interview में said RRO is a Tamil movie. She doesn't know what's the difference between Tamil and Telugu, and US में cosmopolitan identity, earning a lot of dollars, doing nothing. So this is the exposure, lack of exposure. Socialization नहीं है, यही problem है. Next, in 1964, हाँ सब लाइन में खड़े होकर बातें करेंगे सोसाइटी के बारे में, क्योंकि सास भी कभी बहू थी. In 1964, the PDS was institutionalized with the creation of the Food Corporation of India. And the distribution of responsibilities between the center and the state governments. The center government was made responsible for procurement, bulk allocation to states, storage and distribution. The state government was given operational responsibilities, including distribution within the state, including distribution within the state, issuing ration cards, and supervision and monitoring of fair price shops. Why is the state government issuing ration cards when the whole system is universal? What? Better understanding. So even if you are giving it to everyone, it's a universal system. You need an administrative system to check whether the same person is repeating or not. You have to make a difference between the citizens and the people who have come from outside, जिनके कागज देखने के लिए बोल रही है गवर्नमेंट. This is why you understand राशन कार्ड एक बहुत important document बन गया for all other identity proofs whether you are citizen or not. In fact, this ration card for all the before Aadhaar card, this was the major identity proof for being a citizen of India. This is how this document became very important. Now it is being replaced with Aadhaar. Next, after the Green Revolution, after the Green Revolution, the PDS evolved from a rationing system to a fair price system, thereby becoming one of the most important, thereby becoming one of the most important social security net for the population. In the late 70s and early 90s, early 80s, some states started expanding the system in rural areas. And also targeted certain specific groups, also targeted certain specific groups at their own cost. Next slide, revamped PDS. It was launched in 1992. In 1775 blocks, 1775, throughout the country, where certain area specific programs, where certain area specific programs such as integrated tribal development program, drought prone area program, etc. were being run. Under this system, food grains were allocated to the states for the RPDS blocks. Food grains were allocated to the states for the RPDS blocks at lower prices than the normal PDS blocks. It is clear till 97 it was a universal system. कुछ जगहों पे we gave a further subsidy which was revamped. Targeted PDS is for the first time when we are targeting a specific section of the population, that is your poor, which are below poverty line. So the first basic feature that TPDS brought in was it categorized all the households into two categories. One was the above poverty line, the other was below poverty line. And the whole idea was both the categories can get the food from the PDS shops, but the subsidy will only be provided to BPL. It will not be provided to the APL. Grains availability दोनों के लिए है, but this will not be provided the subsidy. Now why, or the change in the system, why? Because we wanted to target a specific section. तो इनके लिए subsidized price क्या होगा? The central issue price for the below poverty line families would be 50% of the economic cost of food grains. We discussed FCI को एक economic cost of food grains पड़ता है. FCI is giving the farmers the MSP plus it has procurement cost and also has distribution cost. This is the economic cost of food grains to the FCI. Iska 50% would be the central issue price for the states. So the CIP for below poverty line population would be 50% of this cost. For above poverty lines, it would be 100%. So that means above poverty line families are going to get a full cost what the FCI is getting. Below poverty line is going to get 50%. So we categorize the households into two and then give two-tiered pricing structure, 100% of economic cost of food grains to APL and 50% to BPL. In the year 2000, the government further introduced another category called the Antyodaya households. What is the feature of Antyodaya? You've done poverty, right? What are Antyodaya households? Antyodaya scheme है government की. These are poorest of the poor. Now what the government said is they are going to get a subsidized price, but इनका allocation ज़्यादा होगा. The allocation which the entitlements which the APL and BPL families are getting and even Antyodaya are getting, this entitlement, that is how much kg of food grains they're going to get per month, is to be decided by the center. The center government is going to decide the entitlements for the families and the Antyodaya household is going to get maximum entitlement. They were given 35 kg per household. अगर रेस्ट के लिए 5 kg 10 kg है, अंत्योदय हाउसहोल्ड के लिए it was 35. Price would be the same. So the center government will decide the entitlement and also will decide the allocation to the state. Now how will the center decide the allocation? How will the center decide how much it has to give to each state? ये कैसे डिसाइड होगा? राशन कार्ड तो वो आगे स्टेट डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करेगी, सेंटर स्टेट को कितना देगी ये कैसे पता चलेगा? पॉपुलेशन, हाउ? Poverty index, how is the poverty index? This is 1997. What are the poverty index which are using here? 1993 you had A committee for poverty line estimation. Tendulkar was 93. The Lakdawala committee in 1993. What was its recommendation? There were two recommendations. One was state specific poverty line. Based on the state specific poverty line, your planning commission is what collects the poverty line data for each state. How many people are living below poverty line? This poverty line data is used to by the center for allocating to the states. Now, two types of allocations have to be given. Center has to allocate to the states, one, the food for APL and the other food for BPL. दोनों का अलग प्राइस है, तो दो टाइप की एलोकेशन जाएंगी हर स्टेट में. BPL allocation जाएगी based on the poverty line estimates. APL allocation will go based on the average of the last year. Based on the average of last year, APL and the below poverty line जो subsidized जाएगा वो जाएगा poverty line data पे. This is how the center is going to determine the allocation of each and every state. Entitlement is per kg household कितना देना है, and allocation is how much they have to give to each state. Since we are giving it at two prices, APL allocation on the previous year averages, BPL allocation based on poverty line data with the planning commission. Now, responsibility of the state government here is to identify the household. Now, the state government has got this grain, one for APL and BPL. How exactly are they going to identify this? How exactly are they going to get different color ration cards, ID cards? अब इनको सस्ता मिलेगा, इनको at the market price only. How are we then going to give an ID card? What exactly? How exactly targeting of poverty happens in India? Based on what? Socioeconomic caste census happened in 2011. Before that, how exactly poverty line is estimated? Income. Income decides poverty line in India. Land. This poverty line estimates, how do we know what is the percentage of people under poverty? Head count ratio कहाँ से आता है? For example, Rangarajan Tendulkar formula से HCR is 21% in India. How do we know 21%? This is based on the NSSO, consumption expenditure survey. Poverty in India is defined on consumption expenditure, not on income. What exactly are the committees doing? कमिटी एक बास्केट डिसाइड करती है विच इज कंसिडर्ड एसेंशियल. इस बास्केट का प्राइस एनएसएसओ कंजम्पशन एक्सपेंडिचर सर्वे से वी कम टू नो द हेडलाइन रेशियो. बट दिस एनएसएसओ कंजम्पशन एक्सपेंडिचर सर्वे हैपेंस थ्रू अ सैंपल डेटा, राइट? इट्स अ सैंपल सर्वे. अब 21% में एग्जैक्टली कौन सा हाउस होल्ड पुअर है? हाउ डू यू नो दैट? दिस इज क्लियर हाउ पॉवर्टी इज एस्टिमेटेड. ये नेशनल का हेडलाइन काउंट रेशियो है इन द नेशन बेस्ड ऑन सैंपल सर्वे, बेस्ड ऑन द मेथोडोलॉजी गिवन बाय अ कमिटी. वी डिसाइड व्हाट द हेड काउंट रेशियो इज. दिस नंबर ऑफ पीपल इन द पॉपुलेशन आर पुअर. बट 21% में कौन से हाउस होल्ड आते हैं? हाउ डू यू नो दैट? You get the point. For example, this class, say 21% of students are brilliant, bright, IT, IM material. Who exactly are those? How would you know? क्योंकि एनएसएसओ ने से सिर्फ 10 का सैंपल उठाया और उसमें से बता दिया 21%. हाउ डू यू नो 21%? यू हैव एस्टिमेटेड नाउ ऑफ द कंप्लीट पॉपुलेशन. हाउ डू यू नो हु आर दी दोज 10 brilliant students in the class? Inclusion exclusion based on what? It happens on inclusion exclusion, but based on what? नहीं, इंक्लूडेड एक्सक्लूडेड वो तो कोई भी क्राइटेरिया हो सकता है. दैट इज अप टू द स्टेट टू डिसाइड विच टू इंक्लूड विच टू एक्सक्लूड. बट किस डेटा बेस पे इंक्लूजन एक्सक्लूजन होगा? बेस ऑफ अर्निंग. हाउ विल यू डिसाइड दैट? हाउ डू वुड लैंड के बेस पे कौन से डेटा बेस पे आप सी व्हेन यू आर सेइंग कि एक मेरे पास डेटा बेस है, इसके ऊपर मैं एक इंक्लूजन क्राइटेरिया डालूंगा. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इफ समवन हैज अ पक्का हाउस, he will be excluded. Someone having no electrical appliances will be included, right? This is a criteria which you are saying you will apply, but criteria लगाओगे किसके ऊपर? This was the responsibility of the states. There used to be a below poverty line census. Census is enumeration of each and every household. NSSO का consumption expenditure survey was a sample survey, only a sample of households which is giving you an estimation of the complete number of poor. उसके बाद वो exact poor है कौन है, उसके लिए there used to be a BPL census. Ministry, both urban development and rural development, used to help the states conduct this BPL census so as to target who exactly the poor are, so that they can have specific schemes for those poor. और targeted PDS के लिए तो BPL census all the more important, because this targeting is going to help you identify the BPL households. BPL households का different color ration card होगा, then they're going to get the ration at a subsidized price, because now we are only giving subsidy to BPL, not to everyone. So every state used to conduct a BPL census with the help coming from the Ministry of Urban Development and Ministry of Rural Development. 2011, this was replaced by the socio-economic caste census. And a lot of states are using socio-economic caste census. Some states are still using their own census for targeting. For example, there's a Samagra card by the Madhya Pradesh government. They conduct their own census, they're not using this data. Maximum states are still using their socio-economic caste census data. तो इस डेटाबेस के ऊपर आप इंक्लूजन और एक्सक्लूजन क्राइटेरिया लगा सकते हो. So what happens here is that once the center has given you certain allocation based on its poverty allocation, poverty line data पे, for example, state X has 30% of the people below poverty. तो 30% का आपको BPL का allocation मिल गया. 30% into how many entitlement? 10 kg if we are giving to each family. So certain kg of quantity you have got from the center. अब वो हर household में distribute कैसा होगा? Within this you will have to have an inclusion exclusion criteria. अब आपकी state में 30% के लिए आपको मिल गया है subsidized food. Identify the 30%, conduct a census, have inclusion and exclusion criteria. Inclusion criteria, for example, PVTGs or people who don't have a pakka roof or nobody paying income tax in the house, no electrical appliances in the house. This is automatic inclusion. Exclusion, someone paying income tax, having a four-wheeler in the house. This is automatic exclusion. इससे आपको पता चल जाएगा कौन below poverty है और कौन नहीं है. This is how exact poverty is estimated or targeted in the country. BPL and APL, inclusion and exclusion. और ये inclusion exclusion criteria, this is unique to all states. Since state is determining their targeting, every state has its own mechanism of inclusion and exclusion. ओवरऑल आपको मिल गया है 30% सेंटर से. उस 30% में एग्जैक्ट हाउस होल्ड को टारगेट करने के लिए यू नीड अ सेंसस एंड एक्सक्लूजन इंक्लूजन क्राइटेरिया. दिस इज हाउ द स्टेट्स आर टारगेटिंग द एग्जैक्ट हाउस होल्ड. Now, when the states are targeting this exact household, or you have the socio-economic caste census for this exact poverty estimation, why do you then calculate the head count ratio? Head count ratio is based on NSSO, consumption expenditure survey. इस सैंपल के बेस पे HCR क्यों कैलकुलेट कर रहे हो जब टारगेटिंग आप SECC से ही करते हो? You understand? Now you have SEC also estimating poverty. Is SECC estimating poverty based on consumption? It's a vibrant criteria. Based on consumption सिर्फ headline number आया था. Then why these two? This is a debate in poverty. Why this headline count ratio when you already are doing specific target of poverty under SECC? The biggest problem in this SECC number is that this criteria is unique to all states. According to some states, the poverty definition could be wide. According to other, it could be low. So the center government would never know how much percentage of people are poor in the country. So we need a baseline number for the national policy formulation, because if this is 21% or if this is 50%, the policies of the national government will change. So this is to give a whole idea of the country, because SECC say you're not going to get a comprehensive idea, because every state is using its own parameters. Socio-economic caste census एक सिर्फ database है. उस डेटाबेस पे जो प्लस माइनस के क्राइटेरिया लगाए हैं वो स्टेट ने खुद लगाए हैं. एंड दिस इज नॉट वन नेशनल क्राइटेरिया ऑफ इंक्लूजन एंड एक्सक्लूजन. इज दिस क्लियर हाउ पॉवर्टी इज एस्टिमेटिंग एट द सेंटर एंड व्हाट एग्जैक्टली द स्टेट इज डूइंग? सो स्टेट इज, center is giving the entitlement, center is giving the allocation. What the state is doing? State is targeting exactly who the household is to whom the subsidized grain should be provided. Another important function which the state is doing, the state is also deciding the end retail price. Now, what is the mechanism of end retail price? Whenever the food grains have come from the FCI to the state, this has come at a central issue price. The central issue price is also determined by the Commission of Cost Prices, CACP. रिमेंबर CACP जो MSP और सब कुछ रेकमेंड करता है, वो ही सेंटर इशू प्राइस भी रेकमेंड करता है. When center issue price FCI स्टेट को दे रहा है, स्टेट हैज टू मेंटेन द फेयर प्राइस शॉप्स एंड देन डिलीवर इट टू द कंज्यूमर. अब ये कंज्यूमर BPL कौन है, ये एक तो स्टेट डिसाइड कर रहा है. मैनेजिंग द FPS shops is the responsibility of state, and at what price this is going to come to the consumer is also decided by the state. Now, why this price is different from central issue price? Because the state is also going to spend a certain money on distribution within the state. Plus, whoever is running this fair price shop, this person also has to, this licensee owner also has to get certain margin. Otherwise, nobody is going to take license for this shop. So depending on the margin given to them and the distribution cost within the state, your CIP and this price, also called as the issue price or the end retail price, will be different. This is why you have different prices in states till 2013. NFSA ये change करेगा mechanism, but till 2013, the state is determining the end household and is also deciding the price at which it is selling, because it has to undertake two costs, the distribution cost and the license margin. This is why the CIP and the end retail price are different. What the center government has recommended, to keep them close, because this is all a welfare mechanism, not a profit making exercise. You should give a CIP closer to the IP. This will run till 2013. After 2013, the central government will make the two prices equal and give the states money for this. This is why rupees 3 to 1 became the norm after 2013 throughout the country, because the center government started subsidizing the states for these two. But till then, you had different prices where the state was determining the end retail price. Is this clear how target PDS is different? You can write down features of target PDS. Or first say targeted PDS. Launched in 1997. On the recommendation of the World Bank. The word targeted here means that the focus is on poor and vulnerable sections of the society. Now, features of targeted PDS. So it's only 97 that now you have targeted features. Before that, it was universal. Features of targeted PDS. First, household were classified into three categories. The households were classified into three categories: APL, BPL, and Antyodaya. Antyodaya households. Second, a two-tiered pricing structure. A two-tiered pricing structure where the central issue price for BPL households was 50% of economic cost for the FCI, economic cost of food grains for the FCI, and 100% for APL households. Third, the allocations to the state were to be decided on poverty line estimates of the Planning Commission in the same point. The entitlements for each household was also decided by the central government. Next, the state government was responsible for identifying the beneficiaries and deciding the end retail price for the consumers. In the next slide, the state would take into consideration the margin for the fair price shop dealer and interstate distribution. Next, if extra items are to be distributed, or more population is to be covered, or a discount is to be given on CIP, the cost will be borne by the state. So the idea is the central government, based on the poverty line estimate, is giving you grains for 20% or 30% of your population, depending how much is poor. You want to cover more, give more items, or give it at a subsidized price. It is your responsibility to do the same. In fact, if you read the newspaper recently, what has happened? The Tamil Nadu finance minister has criticized the GST. What he's saying is that if beyond a PADS we want to give items, or if we want to distribute more, how exactly do we raise the resources for it? Because earlier we could use more taxation power to subsidize any of the food programs. Now we have lost all the powers of taxation under GST. This is what he compared to the previous eras, where Tamil Nadu government used to give midday meal scheme before the midday meal scheme was even launched in India. 94-95 is the time when midday meal scheme is launched throughout the country. You know when was the midday meal scheme started in Tamil Nadu? 60s. 60s में, तो this is where Kamaraj brings in 1950s में, in fact 50s 60s में he brings in Tamil Nadu, and this is where he said Tamil Nadu में midday meal इसलिए आया because we had powers of taxation. because we could raise revenues. Now we don't have under GST. But midday meal not started in 50s, 60s. When it was it started? There was one political party pre-independence which was strictly against Congress, the Justice Party. 1921, when it comes to power in Madras, this is where they start this midday meal scheme. Not just midday meal scheme, they had a lot of other social welfare schemes also. Reservation तभी start कर दिया था, right in 1921. Strictly against the Congress, supported the Simon Commission also, Justice Party. So if you want to cover more, for example, Tamil Nadu is covering 100% of the population, giving rice for free. It is your expenditure, not the central government. We are only going to give the expenditure for this. Now, what is the problem with this system? What is the issue with targeted PDS? The whole point is, despite being the largest producer of food grains, India has a problem of hunger and malnutrition. Why? Despite being one of the largest producer of most of the food grains, India has a significant problem of hunger and malnutrition. Why does this problem exist? 2011, the Prime Minister says in his Independence Day speech, hunger is a national shame. That despite so many years after independence, we have hunger in the country. Manmohan Singh said this, that this hunger is a national shame. 2014 के बाद तो सबका भाई सबका जान. Only one, Salman Khan, not. सब एक ही है. No shame. What exactly? Why is this problem existing? Not nutrition. They will talk about malnutrition, but hunger की problem क्यों है? Forget malnutrition for a while. Hunger ही क्यों है? Despite being the largest producer, food grains are being rotten in the godowns of FCI. डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन का क्या प्रॉब्लम है? ऑब्वियसली जब प्रोड्यूस हो रहा है डिस्ट्रीब्यूट नहीं हो रहा तभी वही प्रॉब्लम है, बट क्या प्रॉब्लम है? सबके पास राशन कार्ड नहीं है. द मोमेंट 97 you turn it into a identification program, you have identification issues. Remember we discussed this under direct subsidy. You will have what types of error? Exclusion and inclusion errors. People who are not below poverty line having Fortuner will have a pink color ration card taking grains from targeted PDS. And exclusion, people who want it are not getting it. Now this exclusion is the most important problem. Inclusion is still a loss of money for the government. Exclusion, that means people are going to go hungry. The moment you turn from a universal system to an identification system where you are targeting a poverty line, this identification will have significant issues because the government does not have the administrative capacity to target each and every one. And the moment you have exclusion, that means people are going to go hungry. Inclusion means a loss of cost, loss of revenue, but inclusion means hungry people. What else? Because this identification is going to create a huge debate in the first UPA. UPA 1 creates a National Advisory Council. The Prime Minister, UPA 1, who is the Prime Minister? The real Prime Minister. So the chairperson of the party, she creates a National Advisory Council. And this is where there are a lot of reforms done in the first and the second UPA. The National Advisory Council brings in a lot of different social reformers and someone who's expert in social welfare. Jean Drey se lekar Arundhati Roy, everyone was part of this National Advisory Council. And this is where the first problem was highlighted, the identification of targeted PDS. So if according to 2011, the Rangarajan, the Tendulkar committee, only 21% of the people are poor in the country. That means effectively targeted PDS is covering 21% of the population. And what the National Advisory Council says, people are going hungry because आपका system बहुत short है, targeting नहीं चलेगी. And this is where there is a demand for converting this back into a universal system with 100% coverage. इन दोनों के बीच में एक consensus आएगा on 67%. We'll discuss in NFSS 67%, and 67% of the population according to 2011 is 80 crore. This is why the government keeps on repeating 80 crore को grains दिए, because 80 crore compulsion है cover करना NFSA के अंदर. 67% of the population on 120 crore, 120 crore was the population in 2011, comes out to be 80 crore. तो वो एक consensus यहाँ आया था because National Advisory Council and a lot of people resigned. Gendres resigned on this issue. They wanted 100% coverage because he thought that a lot of people are poor and they're not able to afford food grains, so सबको मिलना चाहिए. What the finance ministry at that time said is, we can't cover 100% because the subsidy burden on 100% is going to be huge. FCI is already constrained. If we cover 100% of the population, we are going to forego a significant amount of subsidy program. Still, consensus came out on 67%, where 75% of the population in rural areas and 50% in urban areas. इसीलिए 67% उस टाइम का 120 is called 80 crores. Repeatedly said 80 crore हम cover करते हैं. So first problem is identification. People are going hungry. What's the second problem? Corruption. Why is the corruption happening in this PDS system? The biggest problem is a lot of this food grain is sold in the market. Why? Remember the problem of indirect subsidy? One product, two prices. The subsidized product distributed under the PDS, this is highly subsidized, and the market price is the normal market price. The moment you have two prices, you have a opportunity of incentive of leakage. Leakage happens at 2 points. One, when it reaches the states, distribution to the fair price shop. पहला leakage point यही है. State के godown से fair price shop में a lot of grains will go in the open market. And the second point of leakage is fair price shop to the consumer. He is also going to send it to the open market. This is why the most important reform here in PDS is one, reforming this, that is to whom you are giving the license, and the second is state to fair price shop. You need to have end-to-end computerization and GPS tracking of trucks so that nothing is sent to the open market. In fact, there are two types of leakages that happen here. Not just the quantity leakage, quality leakage भी यहाँ पे quality fraud है. The good quality grains in the PDS are exchanged for bad quality grains in the open market, and the bad quality ones are the ones which are spent. क्योंकि ये fair price shop को वो exchange में ही इतना पैसा मिल जाता है if he sends the good quality and takes in the bad quality of the market. The problem happens for the consumer. Significant leakage. Shanta Kumar panel in 2013 said 40% leakage exists in PDS. If the center is sending 100 kgs, only 60 kg is reaching the end consumer. 40% is leaked in the open market. This is a national average, which was criticized by a lot of people कि इतना ज़्यादा नहीं है, but still the number is significant because ये पूरा leakage का एक institutional structure है. This is a complete network how everything has to happen. What else? What else could be the problem? One of the things we discussed was when the FCI is procuring from the farmers, they themselves are spraying water. They themselves are destroying the quality of grains distributed at the PDS. In a lot of places, it has been reported that this quality of food grain is so bad that it is unfit even for animal consumption. Forget human consumption, animal consumption के लिए भी unfit है because all of this chain does not have proper scientific storage. और वो पहले ही उस पे moisture है, वो पहले ही grain काला हो चुका है. So this whatever reaches the end consumer, the quality is heavily degraded. This is why despite having the quantity production, the end consumer is going hungry. First is not identified, then the product is leaked, and also the quality is bad. Another point of problem here is the access issue. Now this depends on who exactly is the license holder. Most of the times the shop is closed. The quantity that is given is not given 100%, it is 50%, 40%. There is significant discrimination. जिस चीज को हटाना था, सोशलाइज करना था, उसी के एक्सेस पे देयर इज डिस्क्रिमिनेशन बेस्ड ऑन last year. Al Jazeera carried out a report. An investigative journalist from Al Jazeera, she carried out a report. Two families having the same socioeconomic conditions. One member, two women went to the PDS shops. One has been given 40% of the entitlement, the other has been given 100% of the entitlement. The difference between the two is their surname. Till date, the license holder can create a distinction between who should get the food grains or not. 2019, one of the research happened in Bihar. And what was found there was the whole village belonged to the same caste. The whole village belonged to one caste, that was Yadavs were the dominant caste. कोई और caste थी ही नहीं. One is you can create a differentiation between the other two. If there is a higher caste, lower caste, you can create a differentiation and the license holder will not give it. Same caste के अंदर भी वहां पे discrimination थी. Based on what basis? The sub-caste, that is Jati. Same village, Yadavs also, some part of the village got maximum, the other part did not because of this discrimination. This access issue, caste, gender also. And this is only basis on who the license holder was. All of these studies have happened just comparing the caste of who is holding this license and the people who are getting the food or not. So again, despite having the system, the discrimination happening on a lot of social indicators is what makes the people go hungry. And this is one problem which is very difficult to solve. Because this is only behavioral which you can solve. One is you can distribute the license to certain cooperatives or self-help groups, certain different identities जहाँ पे ये discrimination ना हो. Otherwise, this is very difficult to stop. And this is still happening. This is not. There have been so many research that based on caste itself. If the women of the household goes, male of the household goes, उसमें भी discrimination है कितना entitlement मिलेगा. This is why the entitlement, the person entitlement ratio, the how much entitlement you should get and how much you are receiving. This is the person entitlement ratio. None of the fair price shop has a 100% person entitlement ratio. अगर उनको मिलना चाहिए 10 kg, they are always getting less than 10 kg because a lot of it is diverted, and also then you have a problem of this. What else? What else could be the problem in targeted PDS? One of the problems got highlighted during the lockdown. There is no coverage of migrants because the state is identifying the poor people, identifying based on their domicile, क्योंकि हर state को उनकी poverty के हिसाब से मिलता है. If people are going to some other states, there is no track down of the migrants. In the destination state, the allocation for them has not come, so they are not going to get any food, and migration is significant in India. What else? This is the problem of nutrition. What is being sent in is only rice and wheat. And why this number is high in children? Why is for children malnutrition numbers or undernutrition numbers are significantly high? Global Hunger Index measures for children. Why the number is so high? They need more nutrition, okay? So rice wheat क्यों नहीं है? राइस वीट का क्वांटिटी बढ़ा दें गवर्नमेंट. क्वालिटी का नहीं है, ओके. व्हाट एल्स? Children don't understand whether you have a problem of economics or not. They will want diversity in the food. Repetition of the same food is what is causing a problem that they'll stop eating. Repeatedly, if you're giving rice and wheat and only you have two things to eat, you don't have a variety of vegetables or a variety. यहाँ पे लोगों को मोमोज के साथ 4 चटनी चाहिए. And you are asking people to consume the same rice and wheat every day. The older generation above 18 will understand that you have a criteria that you don't have the incomes, you can't afford any other food. The children don't understand this, and this is why the numbers are significantly high. Repetition of the same food is what increases the level of malnutrition in children because there's no diversity given. This diversity is hugely important, which is going to solve the problem. So PDS just distributing rice and wheat is not. This is why this problem is significant. This diversity of food is very important. Consider yourself, you're not eating the same thing again and again. You need diversity. Domino's भी चाहिए, McD भी चाहिए. हाँ, KFC भी. So you need diversity, which is not present. This is why you have a problem. Is it clear problem of PDS? Write down issues with targeted PDS. First, issues with targeted PDS. First is identification of beneficiaries. Where a large number of eligible persons persons are left out in bracket exclusion error, and a significant number of ineligible persons are included in the list in bracket inclusion errors. Second, illegal diversion of food grains. Illegal diversion of food grains to the open market through a highly institutionalized network of through a highly institutionalized network of agents and middlemen. Third, the quality of food grains is very poor due to lack of proper storage capacity. Next, access related issues. Access related issues that include erratic timing of fair price shops. That include erratic timing of fair price shops. Discrimination on caste and gender lines. Etc. Next, lack of diversity of food items. Means the nutritional requirements of the population are ignored. Next, the system excludes the migrants as the identification is done by the state governments based on domicile status. Is it clear the problem of targeted PDS? What is the major reason for migration in India? Opportunities. What? Unequal development. That's the only reason. What major reason? Or highest amount of migration happens in due to what? Marriage. This is the foremost reason for migration. Write down a question. हाँ फीमेल ही माइग्रेशन होती है. इंडिया इज नॉट इवॉल्व. लड़के नहीं जा रहे अभी. हाउ फार डू यू एग्री? Both interstate and interstate is only female migration, and this is also one of the reasons for low female LFPR in India. Is they have to change the station. This is a 15 marker 2018 में पूछा है ये. The topic of poverty and hunger is both in your paper 2 and paper 3. Poverty and hunger specifically mentioned in paper 2. Paper 3 में it's mentioned PDS. PDS, targeted PDS, challenges of targeted PDS, and the features of NFSA. The features of hunger in paper 3, poverty and hunger in paper 2. This is asked in 2018. Think about this question. What exactly it is asking. समझ आ रहा है क्या लिखा है? इंग्लिश समझ आ रही है, मतलब अलग है. How far do you agree with the view that focus on availability of food grain as the main cause of hunger has taken attention away from ineffective implementation of human development policies in India? Again, you have to understand in 9 minutes and also write it. This is a question on politics of poverty. What would you write? Just a brief idea. क्या understanding है इस question की? Why is it talking about human development and food grains? इतने सारे एक ही टारगेटेड पीडीएस है, उसके बाद भी ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट. रीड इट अगेन. How far do you agree with the view that availability of food grains as the main cause of hunger has taken attention away from ineffective implementation of human policy or human development? Why do you need human development policies? So what exactly? Why is it comparing it with hunger? So why are we stuck on hunger? The whole idea is politics of poverty. How are you going to solve poverty? This is what the question is asking. One poverty solution can come from making the people dependent on you. This is the dependency approach. Under the dependency approach, one thing the government is running is PDS, or you can make them empowered. How are you going to empower them? This is the idea of, what is the definition of human development? Achieving maximum capacity plus human development, providing the capacity in terms of skill, education, healthcare, and giving them the opportunity to grow. The whole idea of human development, Amartya Sen, that people don't understand the need of just economic development, कि सिर्फ यही नहीं है कि आईफोन चाहिए. आईफोन का काम क्या है? Do they understand the utility of that or not? Understanding the utility, how will they know? When you provide them capacity. So not just economic, but all ranges of development, not just in terms of income. So the government is not focusing here because the whole focus is here. Agree with the view that focus of availability is the main cause of hunger, not attention of human development. Is it clear what exactly is the question asking? That we are focusing only on hunger as availability of food. Hunger is only talked about as availability of food, not about where people can be empowered so that they can earn their food. This is what the question meaning is. Now try to form a structure of this. How exactly are you going to structure it? Rest dynamics of PDS, that is your NFSA Act. We're going to discuss in the next class. NFSA, and we're going to start with land reforms. Thank you.